why, from an economic point of view, we find murabaha to be significantly better, closer to maqasid sharia than tawarruq? Well, of course, this story is pretty complicated. We can summarize it briefly here, but I'll try. Basically, in murabaha, the very crucial difference between murabaha and tawarruq is that in murabaha, you have a real exchange taking place. There is a real good or service transferred from one original owner to another new owner. There is exchange, there is true, real economic exchange. We do know in economics that exchange generates value added. When you permit people to exchange goods and services, you increase efficiency in the whole system and you generate utility for both sides of the exchange. You remember the many arguments economists bring about the advantages of foreign trade. They apply more to exchange within the same country between people. So, in murabaha there is real exchange of a good or a service between two parties. It generates value added to both sides. How about tawarruq? Tawarruq, there is no real exchange taking place because the commodity which they use for tawarruq, the one who purchases it, the one who wants to receive credit, buys some commodity for a reserve price. He doesn't care about the commodity itself. He will resell it soon to a third party. So basically, there was no real exchange taking place. Any commodity will do. There is no utility generated from transferring, exchanging real commodity. Only you make a superficial exchange and you generate on the other side debt. In murabaha, you make real exchange and you generate debt. The two economically are fundamentally different. Tawarruq does not generate value added because the commodity is not meant really to be traded by either party. In murabaha, there is real exchange taking place, there is real value added generated. So, economists say, in murabaha, and of course in other real exchange contracts, there is value added generated which will justify the debt, the new debt created. So debt and real income are generated at the same time when real exchange takes place in murabaha. Whereas in tawarruq and all other forms of pure debt being generated without value added, without generating income in society. So you have tawarruq is close to interest-based financing, where debt is generated and increased without a corresponding real exchange taking place, without real value being generated. So this, we notice that such interpretation requires knowing economics, not only knowing that the two are okay, why one is better than the other, or why one is worse. Now, a question arises here. If we as economists want to give grades to different halal things, and of course grades to different negative grades to different haram things. Suppose we have these two halal matters of financing, modes of financing. Is it permissible for the central bank, say, or any particular authority to prevent people from doing something halal? That is, can the central bank tell Islamic banks that you may not finance business people through tawarruq except for a limited amount or as a small proportion of your overall credit operations? Is this permissible in Sharia? Is it permissible to curtail halal, to prevent people from doing something halal? The answer, this is economic policy. Yes, it is permissible in Sharia. In fact, all economic policy, all policy in Sharia, a major part of it is related to curtailing some halal with generating some bad consequences in society. This is one major area of economic policy. Definitely, if a central bank notices, as in some countries, that now more than 50% of all financing is taking place through tawarruq, which is a dangerous thing because this has consequence very similar to interest-based financing. Debt generated without real income generated at the same time. This was one major reason for the current financial crisis, that through this process of generating income, not tied, generating debt which is not tied closely to real economic activities. So we can say definitely a central bank may do this, may curtail something halal, of course not haphazardly, if they can establish that it is causing some bad consequences. And in this case, tawarruq definitely does qualify as having bad consequences. Okay, now how about implementation? Next slide, please. Slide number 14. Slide number, yes, please. Implementation is another role economists have to perform regarding Sharia rules. You have to design policies, you have to design institutions to implement a particular Sharia rule in society. Look at slide number 15, please. Slide number 15. Slide number 15, next slide, please. Okay, notice this example. How to eliminate interest from the economy. Of course, this is a very big challenge. And you notice that when you want to change something in the whole economy, it takes a lot of thinking and design. You can't do it haphazardly. You can't do it by a decree. You issue at night, implement next morning. It requires a lot of thought. Who is to tell you how to eliminate interest from the economy? Who? Can you just bring Dar Fatwa, the Fatwa committee, or the Mufti of the country to tell you how to eliminate interest from the economy? No. You cannot do it this way. You need people who know in what ways the interest is entering in the various business dealings in a particular economy. And when you want to eliminate it, you have to say, what alternatives can we permit people, can give people to achieve what they want without interest? So such a job cannot be done by fiqh alone. You need technical people, you need business people, you need finance people. A very good example of this, you look at the experience of one country when they tried to eliminate interest from the economy. Pakistan in the early 80s. When the government decided to try to do this very challenging job, what did they do? They went to the Islamic Advisory Council and entrusted it with producing a report on how to achieve this goal. The council formed a high-level committee. It was composed by people from the central bank, from the Bank of Pakistan. It was Dr. Ziauddin Ahmed, I think, and then top economists, business people, top bankers, and of course, Sharia people. So the high-level committee, which worked on that report, was composed of Sharia people, economists, bankers, central bankers, and commercial bankers, and they worked for, I don't remember how much it took them, maybe a year or so, when they produced a report, which was a very important document translated into other languages, including Arabic. So you see here, when you want to implement a rule like eliminating interest from the economy, you are needing the full power of experts in various sciences, in various disciplines. You cannot do it by fiqh alone. This is one of the jobs of economists. Notice that Dr. Ahmad Shabra was a pioneer in working on this particular problem. How to eliminate interest from the economy. He produced his very important book, The World Just Monetary System. This was in 85, produced in English in 85, later translated into Arabic, and later awarded the King Faisal Award in Islamic Studies. It was also an expert report implementing on how to implement this particular rule. Now, Dr. Omar Shabra, of course, utilized not only his own ideas and solutions, but he also called upon all the previous literature and the various efforts of other scholars before him, and then added his own to produce a clear, technical, detailed vision of how to generate or establish a monetary system that does not use interest. So this is a good example of the implementation role of economists. Now, please next slide, number 16. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, take another type of implementation. The point I'm trying to establish, let me say again,